We have always known that he was a little different ever since he was very, very small. When we bought his first uniform with shoulder pads and a helmet, he slept in it every night, sweating. And I would go in and try to pull it off. He would start crying, and we would have to literally let him sleep in that uniform.
Football was my first love, so I mean, the only thing I really cared about was my football and my helmet. Like literally, whenever I would wake up, I would literally go put my helmet on, get my football, and run around in the living room.
And for the last game, the national championship, after it was over, he wore his uniform, cleats, helmet, everything back to the hotel. And so we go up into his room, to congratulate him. And I'm having to take his shoulder pads and pull them off of him. And it was just a moment that I will never forget, because I remember doing that in the mornings to get him ready for daycare. And that was just, it was a really, really surreal moment for us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was real special that, at a small age, he knew exactly what he wanted to do.
We wanted to make sure that our children kind of experienced a simple life, a country life.
He grew up around horses, and I took him and his brother and taught them how to care for the horses and how to, clean out the stalls in the barn. And
my brother, he really kind of introduced it to me. He was like, yeah, sometimes I chase horses, and I was kind of like, what, And after that, I was like, I'm gonna try it.
Every day, if I hear the horses running, I knew they were somewhere out there chasing those horses. And they chased one night. It was dark, and out there in your pasture, you have little potholes and you don't know what's out there. And the only thing I could see was Rashaan's white shoes. He had on his white track shoes, and I could just see his feet. And that's how I could keep up with it. And I was screaming, stop! But they would run those horses around the barn, and all you would hear was the horses coming. And then they would drop back down right in front of me, and he would look at me again with that face, laughing.
I think one time my brother, I think I was watching him run one time. He actually caught it, which is crazy. I mean, anybody that knows the speed of a horse, it's unbelievable, because you're right there next to an animal that literally runs as fast as a car. So the fact that he was able to do that, that was impressive. Me and my competitive spirit, I was like, I can go do it too. So, but I never caught it. But after that, my level of trying to get as fast as possible just grew after that.
During recess, they would all jump on him, and every day they would wrestle. Little kids were just piling up on Rashaan. And then all of a sudden, Rashaan would just knock all those boys off the top of him, and then he would roar like he was the Incredible Hulk. I said, what? I said, he's special.
It's not anger or anything of that nature. He loves the sport, the contact, the interaction. He loves to compete, to win. That just gets his motor going.
My love just started to grow and grow and grow as I got older, because I really started to respect the game even more.
I could not get over how big he was for a 7th grader. He was playing quarterback, and he was probably already 6 foot as a 7th grader, and tremendous arm, could really throw the ball, very elusive kid, and just how tenacious he was on the field. And it just struck me. I was excited. I was licking my chops as a coach, thinking, oh man, I can't wait to get this guy. And
a guy named Coach Jeter, who passed away a couple of years back, he was the guy that really made the big move for me to move to the end, where I was pass rushing in.
Because he had the athleticism. That's just something that stood out about him. He could run, he was physical, and I'll never forget, we were playing a 9th grade game, and he was up on the varsity, and the runner broke free. Looked like it was wide open, and Rashaan just comes out of nowhere and just shells him. Kid lays on the ground. Ball game was over. It was right at the first in the first quarter, but it just killed their spirit, and we were like, oh God, this guy's a hitter.
It gave me a chance to really just rush, and I remember I think I had 2 or 3 sacks in that game, and after that I was like, yeah, this is probably where I need to be.
He was big on training, and you know, we really pushed our kids being in a 7A program. We required a lot of them, but it was never enough for Rashaan. He actually used a personal trainer some. He would be up there before and after hours doing extra. And I think one of the things that changed the most was just his physical stature. He just became much more of an imposing player as time went on, whether it be his speed and quickness, his physical strength, all of those things. He just made leaps and bounds as far as an athlete on the field.
Even when he played at Auburn, you know, we didn't know anything about Alabama.
Most of my family has graduated from Auburn, so, you know, as a kid, my mom and them, you know, they constantly flooded me with nothing but Auburn apparel. And my sister, at the time, she was a cheerleader. So I was constantly around people who were affiliated with Auburn University.
As a child, he would always tell me, he said, well, Daddy, we'd be passing by during the half stadium. He's I'm gonna play in that stadium one day. You know, I looked at him and said, you don't know what you're talking about. But he always said, he predicted that as a kid, that he would play in that stadium. So I said, well, maybe he may end up going to Auburn, you know, when he gets there. So, you know, his 9th grade year, Coach Dede took him to the University of Alabama for the first time. That was his first time ever leaving outside the confines of Auburn to go to a game, because we always went to Auburn games every Saturday. And he had an opportunity to meet Kirby Smart. And at that time, that was our first interaction with a college coach or anybody from, you know, the college level.
I think it was the first time there was any thought process about him going somewhere else besides Auburn.
At the time, Auburn wanted to kind of use me as like a star position, more kind of like a safety position, but it's like a hybrid linebacker as well. I went to Alabama to kind of talk with the coaches and talk to Coach Saban about how they would utilize me in my position. And they were kind of like, well, you know, we felt like you could be a great pass rusher. We felt like you could play outside linebacker. We even feel like you could stack back at one point. And me and my parents, we really talked about, you know, just kind of long down the line, you know, my future, you know, what would I be better at? And we'll kind of basically compare it and see which one best fit your attributes, so.
It was a very tight, close, back and forth thing between Auburn and Alabama, you know. When they found out that, you know, that Kirby was going to his grandfather's birthday party, so Coach Malzahn and Rodney Garner and a couple of other Auburn coaches said, well, we going too. So they crashed the party, so.
Oh, it was the most funniest but coolest experience of my life. You know, I had all of my family there, we just celebrating, and I had Auburn and Alabama there, and, you know, some of my family who were Auburn fans, they were there trying to take pictures with the coaches, and some of them Alabama fans, they were taking pictures. So it was so weird, because I'm like, I literally got 2 different universities coaching staffs literally just standing across each other as if they about to like go fight like in this crazy just arena or something like that, man. And
right now, Auburn and Alabama probably neck to neck. Okay. I mean, because they're the closest, so. Right.
It's a very exciting time, but it's also a very stressful time, very stressful. Rashaan actually lost 13 pounds during that time. We had a lot of late night conversations, not a lot of sleep in the house.
I took the official visit to, you know, Alabama. It was kind of like, maybe I probably needed to be here. I had Ruben at the time who was my host, and he kind of just made me feel like I was at home. And, you know, me and him played with each other in high school. It was kind of like, you know, us playing in high school all over again. We talked about, you know, playing side by side. And he was like, well, you know, I want you to just make the best decision for yourself.
And he said, Mom, where do you want me to go? And that was painful, asking me that question. And so I just said to him, Rashaan, there's things you want to do. There's things you need to do. And then he says, things I feel obligated. He said, I feel obligated to go to Auburn because of Dad, you, the family. I said, well, my philosophy on, you know, you always take care of your needs first.
After that, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just wait till I get up to the table and just make the decision and make it on the fly. I
said, if at the last minute, if you change your mind, your father and I, we're gonna support you. So I told him, I said, I'm gonna buy 2 hats.
She had Auburn and she had Alabama.
and I'm going to put them in my purse. We're not going to set them out on the table and make a big deal out of that. I said, but I'm giving you to the last minute to go where you feel you need to go.
And then leading up to, you know, us being at the table, I remember just having a little earbud in my ear, and the guy, when he was speaking, he was like, so, you know, where are you going to be taking your talents at or wherever? And I took that slight little pause. I just looked and thought. I was like, literally everything just flashed by all of the visits, all of the times I've talked to, you know, coaches and all those things. And also I kind of thought off in the future, like what it would look like for me being a Crimson jersey or Auburn jersey. And I reach in and first I grabbed the Auburn hat because the Auburn hat was on top of the Alabama hat. I grabbed the Auburn hat, and then literally like maybe 0.1 second, something was like, nah.
I will be attending University of Alabama.
And then I just heard this, like a gas, big gas. I was like, yep, this is it. So, and it ended up being the best decision I could have ever made. I had to learn how to, you know, take my time and really learn, you know, what it is that I needed to learn for me to be able to get on the field, and then too, you know, just get bigger, get stronger, faster. And, you know, once I did all of those things, you started really kind of see me, you know, show up a lot more in games.